Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. This is More Than Just Task Management, your favorite daily podcast where we help you build a thriving business with me, Anna Angelova, business coach and consultant, and my co host, Jores Minasvand, a business consultant. Hey, Jores.
Hey Anna, happy Tuesday. Another glorious day in our beautiful lives. Well, what is the topic for today, Anna?
Today we have a very interesting topic. And what we'll be discussing are the non-negotiable SOPs, which are standard operating procedures for a seven-figure business. And this is where, like, if you have a six-figure business, this episode is definitely for you. If you have a seven-figure business as well, I would say listen to it. Listen to this episode because there are most likely things that you have not thought about and you might not be doing. So I'll directly start the conversation, and I'll start it with when you think about the business. Like there are ultimately six pillars of the business. For any business, there are six pillars. Starting with leadership. This is like the first pillar, and then from there we have, of course, marketing, sales, delivery, like operations, and then we also have team and performance management. We have
Finance.
finances. Yes, yeah. Well, we have these six pillars of any business. So, starting with the first one, leadership. What are the SOPs, the standard operating procedures there that you need for you to get to a seven-figure business or as a seven-figure business? Now, when you think about a seven-figure business, chances are that as a seven-figure business, you already have a team. Like you have people, whether they work directly for you or they're contractors or you're outsourcing things, like the chances are that you are managing. You're managing people in one way or another. So leadership, it really becomes important on like as a leader, like setting the vision, setting the course ahead really becomes important because it's not just you anymore. There are so many other people that are part of this now. So the standard operating procedures in terms of uh, leadership, like protecting the core, maintaining the core while everything else changes. And this is where also you would start thinking about succession. Like how do you like make sure that the company, the core of the company remains by having that succession plan, by knowing that okay, like this is who the next CEO will be, like how we determine these steps. Like so standard operating procedures within the leadership pillar, uh, it's like the first one, right? Like this is where like you as a seven-figure business you want to have like how do you manage succession? How do you maintain the core values, the core mission, vision, and then the B hacks, right? That big, hairy, audacious goal, like all the planning around it, all the strategy, right? This is where we're talking about strategic, like all these strategic meetings, strategic direction, like how is this set? So these are all things within the leadership pillar. And then moving through the marketing, of course. Now, chances are that as you have as a seven-figure business, you might not be personally doing marketing. Someone else could be doing marketing. And then sales, of course, like chances are other people are doing the sales for you. So Joris, I will actually give you a chance, open the floor for you to talk a little bit about like some of the SOPs when it comes to marketing and sales for a seven-figure business.
Yeah, again, when you get to volumes, when you get to higher uh, um, rate of sales, and you get to you open up the market. So the bigger markets you open yourself, then you have a farther reach. You farther reach you go, then it becomes different than just your own local network and working with local businesses. So one of the and you probably have a version of this. That's why now you went from 60 to 7 digits. It's lead generation channels and qualification criteria. This is another thing. When you get to that level, you don't want just any customer as a customer. You want to make sure that when you're generating when you're generating leads, you are able to qualify them into customers, those that follow your values, those that you want to work with. And we've always talked about this leadership. You instill your values and your goals. That also applies to picking customers. All you need like sales call meeting frameworks, closing scripts. How do you close? What customers do you close? Then how do you use your CRM? What are the rules and the timelines? Standard discounting or pricing. Now all of a sudden you're at the level where you have a little bit of cash flow. You can maybe use 1 or 2 percentages of your GM or your EBIT, more like GM, to apply discounts. So these are things that you can use for sales and marketing, and but you need to be ready for it. And I think when it comes to sales and marketing, part of your SOPs should be automation. You need to pay attention to automating things.
Oh yes, especially when it comes to content creation, for example, like with AI being in the picture now, like how do you use it? Like how do you make sure that the content again aligns with your company, and where do you automate? Where do you keep things personal? Absolutely. And then when you go after like sales, marketing and sales, of course, like the next thing that comes is delivery, like operations and delivery. And this is where like one aspect is customer service, for example, especially like depending on what kind of business you have. Like if it's more of a consumer, so B2C with consumers, where, and especially if it's a consumer market where like you said, Joris, there is volume, then and even if there is no volume, like even if you work with 100 clients at a time, your company works with 100 clients at a time, still like you want to have standard operating procedures around customer service. How quickly you respond, what happens depending on the different problems, how like all these kind of things, like how do you manage customer service, and then delivery as well, that having that consistent and high quality of delivery. Because in the beginning you might have been the one who delivered everything, but now other people are doing things for you. So maintaining that consistency, that regardless of who is delivering, like who is doing things behind the scenes or in front, like we working with clients directly, like it might not be behind the scenes, it might be like directly working with clients, that people have consistent consistent experience that aligns with your brand. Yes, of course, there will be differences, like one person to different another person, there are differences, but that core, like that's why I mentioned that core, keeping the core. Like, if your core values are I know I mentioned kindness a lot, but let's say kindness, responsibility, wisdom, for example, like these are 3 of our core values, then every person who works with us and for us is responsible, kind, and has wisdom, like it's wise. So ultimately, this is core, but then some people might be a little bit more outgoing and they might be a little bit more direct. Other people might be a little bit less direct and less outgoing, right? So there are flavors, of course, when different people do the work, but your standard operating procedures when it comes to delivery, like they need to help you, like they should help you maintain that high quality, high standard, and based on the brand and based on the business that you have. And Joris, you did mention something before we started talking that's we talked a little bit about data last week. I think was it last week when we talked about, or might have been a couple of weeks ago when we touched on protecting the customer data. So as your business grows, as you go from 6 to 7 figures, there are different risks that come. And you did mention something about this, about this kind of risk.
It's all about risk management and compliance, right? Again, the bigger you get, the more exposed you get, the more exposure you have, the more bigger target you become for lawsuits, and you need to be very careful. And data security and privacy protocols, these are very important, especially for client data. Don't lock like we talked about this, as you mentioned in one of our podcasts a while back. There are technologies that you can put in place, but you also technology can be circumvented. So you need to have the policies where you do not walk away from your desktop, for example, without locking it. A very, very interesting example, and I've started using it because I travel so much. Privacy screen on your phone. You're sitting in a hotel, in an airport, in a I don't know, lounge, in an airplane. You're on the road, and you're looking at an important contract or something very important on your phone. If you don't have the privacy screen, even on your laptop or desktop or Surface, if you don't have those privacy screens, people can see it, and you will never you never know who's next to you, a competitor, agent of a competitor. So that's very important. So you have to have like procedures as well. It's not you anymore. There are 40 people in your team. They all have to follow those procedures. Legal compliance, like checklist for your industry or whatever industry you're in. What are your legal compliance? Personal data protection, even for your employees. Crisis management. You have you're very reliant on your location, but what if that location gets flooded or burnt or you lose power? How quickly are you going to be back up and running? You have payroll to pay, you have customers to pay, you have suppliers to pay. What is your procedure for emergencies to restart your business? And what time does that take for you to do that? Can you restart it in 24 hours, 24 days? In 24 days, you may be bankrupt. So you need to have these all in mind. And some companies push, because they're essential services, they push it to a level where they actually test their emergency procedures twice a year, because they have to they're compliant, and they have to report to the regulators. And the last one I will stop after this is your insurance coverage. We have insurance, you have software protection, you have all of this, you have certificates on your website, but you have no renewal policy. What happens after a year? What happens to these? There are companies whose policies have lapsed for years. They didn't even know about it. So these are things that you have. If you put it in a standard procedure, you will know for sure. On this date, you know that in 1 month, your insurance coverage for the company is expiring, and you want to look for a new company, or you want to reduce the insurance rate, you need to start looking. So these are important to know.
Yeah, and even if it hasn't, even if it doesn't lapse, like a lot of things auto renew. So absolutely, and this way, like, we don't even think about what's going on. So thanks for sharing. Like that, there was a lot. So you might actually need to listen to this episode a couple of times so you can take notes and uh, deep breaths. It might be overwhelming, and of course it will be overwhelming. Now you have a 7-figure business, or you want to get to a 7-figure business, and there are a lot of things, but it's all doable. Now, some of the things you talked about, and we've mentioned it already a few times, like the next pillar is ultimately team and performance management. So this is where, like, it's everything from hiring including like how do you write, like what should a job posting look like, what should a for every single role, actually, like what do the role look like, responsibilities and all these kind of things. Like, so hiring, onboarding, training, firing, like SOPs for all these kind of things. How do you manage the team? How do you manage performance? How do you, if performance is not okay, like what are the procedures in terms of like putting people on performance improvement plan, firing. And I know that nowadays it's like, oh, you can't fire people. That's why you want to have clear contracts, like clear expectations, clear role descriptions with clear outcomes, that this is what's expected of you, this is what are your responsibilities and accountabilities, this is what the company is responsible for and accountable for. And then it gives you a clear way to say, you're not doing your work, improve, or you're out of the door. And it might sound, especially if you are at a 6-figure right now and trying to get to the 7-figure, just starting this thing, it might sound harsh, but like, not every person should be is supposed to be your employee. Not every person should work with you. And having those SOPs when it comes to team management is so key. Like, not that the other things are not key, of course, like everything we talked about, all the pillars we focused on, they're all important. Your team makes or breaks your business ultimately. And the thing is that even with all other areas we talked about, like the people you have, they determine and define so much. Like you might have those SOPs in place, but if people are not following them, if people are not actually uh, doing what they're supposed to do, what's the point? Like this is not just having things on paper. It's not just about writing some procedures and then forgetting about it. Like the power comes from having these frameworks, having these standards, having these things well designed, and people actually doing it, people actually taking these things into account, people actually following this. So really important for how who are the right people to hire, how you hire, like all these kind of things. And last but not least, of course, is financials. And this is another big one. This is especially as you grow, as your business grows, as your team grows, you need to stay on top of financials for sure. But having certain SOPs for your financial management, important. And Joris, I know you mentioned before we talked, before we started the conversation, you mentioned something you want to take over.
About finance?
Yes.
Oh, um, yeah, it's so there's bare minimum on the finances that you want to monitor, right? Uh, Basically, you want procedures for revenue tracking, expense approvals, and reconciliation. Those are the things that you want to. Then you also want to maybe have that on a monthly, quarterly basis. And then the other thing that when you get to 7 digits, one of the things that you need to do is very important is financial forecasting. One of the things that you mentioned, we talked about. So let's say emergency happens, your revenue stops. There's no money coming in. How long can you sustain without letting your key people and all of your IP and without your before your business falls apart? So you need to do these financing forecasting models that will help you. They become very important. There are softwares that do it. I haven't seen very good ones. People tend to do it in Excel, but either way, you need to be able to have that. You know. In your horizon, knowing that you're one person, 6 digit, you're okay. But when you're seven and the upper 7 digits business, now you're responsible for other people, right? So you need to know what's coming down the pipe. Are you on a downward trajectory? Are you on an upward trajectory? Are you scaling? What's happening? So that will also have a direct effect back into your sales, marketing, and pipeline, right? Payments and collections. the bad debt, the bad debt protocol, especially at that level, becomes very, very important. Do you go partner up with a collection agency? How do you handle bad debt? And then I think the most important part is the minimum profit margin for yourself, where you know that uh, you go from 60 to 7 digits, but your EBIT drops from 22% to 6%. Well, that's not good. As growth for the sake of growth is not good. So you need to have an idea on what is your profit margin and how is it scaling with, and you can do that with the forecasting models as well. So it's important to know where you are financially today and where you're headed.
And having those procedures, because again, now you're not on your own. There are other people who take care of these things. And as you were talking and sharing some of the things, one thing that came to my mind was like within your SOP, for example, when it comes to finances, like the different allocation, like you said, this is the minimum EBIT we that we strive for. So any decision that we make, like, it needs to be there at least. And then when it comes to marketing, for example, so let's say you invest $1,000 into marketing, and it gets you 5,000 in revenue. Now it's amazing, right? 5x return. And then if you invest 2,000, will you get 10,000, right? Will it be five again, like that five? Because if you have something that for every dollar you put, you get $5 back, how much are you willing to invest? So all these kind of things of how you allocate finances, how you move forward with these things, and how you manage your finances, how often you review, what is reviewed. And as you are growing your business, especially in a sustainable way, like you might actually have a few people that help with your finances. You might have bookkeepers, CPA, who kind of they look at what happened, like they look at the past, and then you might have financial advisors, a CFO even, who helps looking forward, like based on whatever the bookkeeper has provided, like they can help you look forward. And so all these different SOPs of how things are done, what kind of financial system you're using. And one of the things that I'm reading a book right now that's related to profit first. And one of the things that it's very interesting. I haven't really gotten into that too much to read about it, but ultimately a lot of CPAs, like they follow the generally accepted accounting principles gap, and this one was created for ultimately for publicly traded companies. And if your company is not publicly traded, having profit first as a financial model and how you track and how you report and how things are used, it's our choice, right? Like we don't have to have, as long as it's a standard way and consistent way for us, where every year we track the same way, we report the same way, it doesn't have to be gap. So having standard operating procedures around this as well. So I know I mentioned it's a lot, and we're not here to overwhelm you, but at the same time, like if you are at a six figure and you want to go to 7 figure business, you want to know what's coming up. You want to know all those moving parts that you need to pay attention to. And then if you are at a 7 figure business, you really want to look at your business and see, do you really have all these kind of things? How sustainable it is? Because we're here to help you build a thriving business, a business that is sustainable, a business that can thrive generation after generation. Those like a business built to last ultimately. And that's why we're sharing all this with you. That's why we also have the Thrive 360 service that we provide, where we actually come and help you identify all these things, come and help you build all these 6 business pillars with the necessary SOPs, so you can actually create a thriving business. So take a deep breath. I know it's a lot. I know we talked about quite a few things, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So as you are looking at your own business, and this is one thing that I know I've mentioned before, but I don't think recently I've mentioned it, but ultimately we don't have these conversations for you to just listen to the conversation and forget about it. So action item, right? Take a look at your business. Where are you right now? Are you 6 figures, 7 figures? And then thinking about all these different business pillars, like where are you with them? Do you have the SOPs for all of them? If not, like start one by one. Start with leadership. Look where you are, what's going on. Create the SOPs there. Then move to marketing. Create the SOPs there, one by one bite at a time, and you do it. And then, of course, if you want to accelerate the journey, we are here for you. I'll put the link to the Thrive 360 service if you want to contact us and want us to jump in and help you do this, accelerate, do this faster. We're here for you.
I was going to say that's one of the other things that you can actually outsource all of your SOPs and all of your standardizing your entire business. We can help with that.
Yeah, because yesterday we talked about hiring, right? So absolutely.
All right. Great session, Anna. Thank you. Very informative. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Jores. Absolutely. Absolutely. And tomorrow we are back with the next conversation, which is should you use
My
AI for
favorite.
content creation as a
My
startup?
favorite.
Yep, your favorite. Should you use AI for content creation as you're starting? So join us tomorrow for another conversation, for another insightful topic that again helps you build a sustainable business that thrives year after year, decade after decade. This is why we're here for. Small, mid-sized businesses are so important. We do something amazing for the economy, for our communities, for our families, for everyone. And you are already a hero. And we look forward to joining you back tomorrow with the AI topic of the week.
That would be fun.
It will be fun. Thanks, Joris. Bye.
Bye.